right, guys. Good morning. I thank you all for being here. Welcome to our 2020 Annual Rules Clinic. One of the things we're going to do today at the end of all the slides is we're actually going to take a quiz. So while you're going...
2020 NFHS Boys Lacrosse Rules Interpretations, presented by U.S. Lacrosse. The NFHS approved 5 rule changes for the 2020 season. Beginning January of 2022, all field players must wear protection that meets the NOCSAE ND 200 standard. This rule allows a change made last year that requires all goalkeepers to have chest protection that meets the NOCSAE standard by January of 2021. The new equipment standards are required in 2021 and 2022 to address commotio cordis, a rare but potentially fatal injury. Products are now available on the market for both goalies and field players. A list of approved products can be found at www.seinet.org. Only products that are on the SEI list and contain this marking will be legal for play. It is no longer the duty of a chief bench official, CBO, to ensure that there are too few players on the field. If a player legally enters the game after play has been restarted and gains an unfair advantage as a result of delaying their entry onto the field, the penalty is a technical foul for a delayed substitution. To speed up play, starting this season, officials are instructed to restart play as quickly as possible at or near the location of the violation. Now, play can restart when a defensive player is less than 5 yards from the offensive player in possession of the ball. If a situation occurs, the defensive player must allow the player in possession of the ball a direct path to the goal, and the defensive player may not defend the player in possession of the ball until they have reached a distance of 5 yards or more from the ball carrier. When a defender fails to reach a distance of 5 yards or more before defending the ball carrier, it will result in a 30-second technical foul for a delay of game. There are still instances to delay the start of a game, and they include when an offensive player is less than 5 yards from the player in possession of the ball. The goalkeeper shall be given a maximum of 5 seconds to re-enter the crease on any restart. An unfair distance advantage, gained by an offensive player with the ball who starts running downfield before a whistle is blown to restart play. If the ball continues to roll downfield after play was suspended and a player tries to resume play in a spot away from the location when play was suspended. In these cases, officials shall ensure that play is restarted properly rather than quickly, according to the rules, to ensure that an unfair advantage has not been gained. This first clip is an example of a defender not reaching a distance of 5 yards or greater before defending the ball carrier. After an over and back violation, attack man number 12 on the brown team picks up the ball and play is resumed quickly by the officials. Number 13 white is at a distance which is less than 5 yards from the ball carrier number 12 brown when the official blows the whistle to resume play. Because number 13 white contacts number 12 brown before a distance of 5 yards or more is gained, the official correctly flags number 13 white for a technical foul, delay of game. The following clips are good examples of defenders that correctly give a distance of 5 yards or greater after a loose ball technical foul. Pay attention to the defenders backing off of the offensive player who has the ball. For the purpose of these clips, whether the defender chooses to engage the ball carrier is moot. The important thing to watch is the defender actively moves away from the ball carrier and gains a distance of 5 yards or more. Once the 5 yards are gained, they are free to engage the ball carrier. The following clip is an example of an offensive player who correctly establishes themselves inbound and waits until the official blows their whistle to restart play. When an offensive player correctly establishes themselves in bounds or in the correct location with the ball, it allows defenders to know how far away they need to be and allows officials to restart play quickly. The following clip is an example of when offensive players restart in the wrong location and too quickly. Watch the player in blue pick up the ball at the location the ball went out of bounds and throw the ball up the field to a teammate. Since this is the wrong place to restart play and would give the team in blue an unfair advantage, the official correctly stops play and instructs the blue team to restart play in the correct position. The following clip demonstrates officials restarting play too quickly and not giving a goalie 5 seconds to return to their goal crease. Watch as the white goalkeeper carries the ball upfield, attempts a shot on goal, and commits a crease violation. When the red goalkeeper picks up the ball, play is restarted too quickly because the white goalkeeper is always granted up to 5 seconds to return to their crease before play can restart. Starting in 2020, all crosses that are found to be illegal, when inspected by an official during a game, carry a personal foul penalty time of 2 minutes, non-releasable. The 2 minutes foul replaces the previous illegal cross penalties time, in which some were correctable and carried a penalty length of 1 minute, and other fouls were not correctable, carry a penalty length of 3 minutes, and the cross was placed by officials at the table for the remainder of the game. All penalties are 2-minute non-releasable fouls in duration, and the cross can be corrected for use later in the game. It is also the responsibility of the player and coach to assure that the stick is legal for play. If inspected again in the future by officials and found to be again illegal, it would result in a new 2-minute non-releasable personal foul for an illegal cross. An exception will remain for hanging strings or a missing end cap. Both of these issues, when identified by officials, can be corrected without penalty, provided the player fixes the issue before returning to the game. For the 2020 rules, the committee clarified when throwing the cross is unsportsmanlike conduct personal foul and when throwing the cross is a technical foul for illegal procedure. The penalty for throwing a cross at the ball, another player, or other game personnel is a 1 to 3 minute releasable penalty. Throwing the cross for any reason other than at a ball, another player, or other game personnel is a technical foul for illegal procedure. The NFHS approved the following rule clarifications. The definition for possession has been updated to include both player and team has possession of the ball when a player can perform any of the normal functions of control. This includes carrying, cradling, passing, or shooting. The NFHS approved the following editorial corrections. Language for how to proceed with a player who may have sustained a concussion has been moved from Section 25 on team timeouts to Section 24, officials timeouts, since a potential concussion is an injury timeout. The language in the section is being updated to be consistent with the changes made in 2018 for a second and subsequent foul that occurs after there is a flag down and the game is in a slow whistle situation. The new language specifies that a crease violation or goalkeeper interference that occurs during a slow whistle situation shall be time-serving. The NFHS Boys Lacrosse Committee would like the lacrosse community to be aware of the following points of emphasis for the 2020 season. The NFHS Boys Lacrosse Rules Committee advocates for continued commitment by players and coaches to respect the game and each other, both on and off the field. Head coaches are asked to monitor and discuss sportsmanship with their players and assistant coaches to ensure the game is held to the highest standard. The committee expects all participants to continue to work together to exhibit good sportsmanship from pre-game through post-game. Continued emphasis is needed regarding player safety rules, specifically contact to the head-neck area, as well as contact to defenseless or unsuspecting players. Contact to head or neck shall result in a 2 or 3 minute non-releasable penalty. This must be the penalty whether the initial contact is made to the opponent's head or neck or is a legal body check that slides up and into the opponent's head or neck. Players shall not body check a player in a defenseless position. Hitting a defenseless player will result in a 2 to 3 minute non-releasable penalty or ejection. Targeting the head or neck of an opponent or targeting a player in a defenseless position must result in a 3-minute non-releasable foul. When a player intentionally takes aim at an opponent's head or neck, targeting shall result in a 3-minute non-releasable penalty or ejection. A 2019 questionnaire completed by both coaches and officials indicated a concern regarding pace of play. To address these concerns, the committee revised the rules related to restarts. Officials shall restart play as soon as possible, and play can restart with a defensive player or players within 5 yards of a player in possession of the ball. The committee is still concerned about reports of the stalling rules not being properly and consistently used in games. Officials should give particular attention to the definition and application of stalling rules. Future equipment and uniform changes. Goalkeepers will be required to wear chest protectors designed for lacrosse that meet NOCSAE ND200 at the time of manufacture on January 1, 2021. The following year, on January 1, 2022, all field players will be required to wear chest protection designed for lacrosse that meets the NOCSAE ND200 standard. Last, starting January 1, 2022, the home team will be required to wear a white jersey, and the away team will be required to wear a non-white jersey. Old language was deleted, and a new article was added to this rule. In addition to the rules against warding off with one hand or arm, now a player with two hands on his cross is prohibited from using either hand or arm to push against the body of the defensive player. It is legal for an offensive player to keep two hands on his cross and contact a defender's cross to create space for his hands for a pass, shot, or other lacrosse move. Officials are reminded that a ball carrier who uses his helmet against the head or body of a defender to bowl his way past that defender is not warding off. That player should be charged with a non-releasable personal foul for an illegal body check. The NFHS and U.S. Lacrosse would like to thank you for watching the 2020 NFHS Boys Lacrosse Rules Interpretations. For more information about the rules, interpretations, memos, or for more resources, visit www.uslacrosse.org/rules and www.nhs.org/activities-sports/lacrosse-boys/.
Starting with the rule waivers. So the first thing is the field. To the best that these are high school fields. We understand some of them have center lines in there. So the modification basically is we're going as is on the fields. I know, for example, I think it's in Foley, check the fields out, walk the fields before the game. Any issues you have, work them out. And the issue at Foley is the end line is right on the, there's some goalposts. So you need to get some padding there or make a discussion with the coaches how you're going to handle situations around those things. But bottom line is that this is no change from last year. Okay, any questions on how we handle that? Biggest issue is the line through the center field does not have to be in place. Okay, goals. Any manufactured goal. Of course, they can't create their own goal, out of some plastic pipe or something like that. But manufactured goals, flat irons, sticking to the ground goals. We just want to make sure that it is a design goal. So every goal, again, we didn't have any issues with this last year. I think the only thing that I've ever seen in the goal in the last 2 years is one of the goals was somehow severely bent. And we were able to get another goal that was a little straighter to that goal. Helmet, there's one kid out there with a senior who has a huge noggin. that has a specially built lacrosse helmet, but his team, I think, is green and his helmet is built white. We're not going to require him. The waiver went through but so what this establishes is it enables this kid with the huge noggin to play with a white helmet, not be penalized. Everybody else on the team has a green team. This rule, as it's written in the waiver that'll go out to everybody, just establishes that if somebody else like that pops up, they can get the waiver from the president of the LHSA for that waiver, and then we'll let you know about it.
What about teams like Baton Rouge, the Baton Rouge lacrosse club? They all wear different helmet colors. Is that still?
That's not.
That's not waived. That is not waived. So in that situation, I talked to the coach before the game. If you can't find a problem with the other team's uniform, it's a one-time penalty, just to face off. Yeah, just awarding the ball in the first face-off. All we're responsible for is looking for the NOXI stamp on the back of them. So that gets back to, you need to be looking, what you want to do is be preventative referees, right? You want to try to stop these problems before they occur if you can. If there's a problem, you see it with a player, for example, a bunch of eye paint, get them to wipe it off, single stroke, no words, all that kind of stuff. Just get it fixed. They see this on college and the kids don't read that in the book, so just get it fixed. It's not a big deal. Move on with the game. But if it's something that's non-repairable, it's so easy just to do that first turnover. But I would talk to the coaches ahead of time what the issue is and move on. Okay? But you're trying not to create all this angst right at the start of a game. We're doing a 30-second count. Okay? Is everybody clear what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. A turnover at one end of the field, a turnover midfield. When you turn on the new count, the mechanic is you hit your beeper to the 20 seconds. It goes off. Start your hand count for 10. And I'd leave that beeper. It's up to you what you want to do. I usually leave that beeper running for a good while so everybody knows that count is on.
That lets the coaches know that they've got
Yep, and boom, you count it down. Okay?
And go in the box.
What's that?
You gotta go into the box.
And touch into the box. All right? And then any situation, loose ball pushed by the defending team, recovered by the offensive team, reset, you're back on a new 30-second count. Timeouts. Any timeout called anywhere on the field, any reset is 30 seconds. So start it over again. The last one to think about, it's a little awkward, but to make it the mechanics standardized across, and what the coaches wanted is offensive side of the field, loose ball goes off a defensive stick out of bounds, right? You don't know how long it's going to take it to get back and play again. That's a reset, 30. We're going either offense or defensive end. So all those are done as a reset, 30 seconds.
So a timeout prior to touching it.
Is a reset, full reset.
So to repeat, they can use a timeout if they're going to lose possession because, and then they get the reset.
Yes.
The cost of.
Yes, that's right.
So we're under 2 minutes, and Team A is leading by 2 goals, and they're clearing the ball. They're in the defensive end.
They get a full 30.
At what point do we get it in, keep it in, and when they cross the midline, or when do we put the get it in, keep it in on?
Yeah, is that 2 separate? When we're approaching 2 minutes, we just have to make everybody aware with verbally.
Yeah.
What's about to go on. You're about to go on the 2 minutes, coach, and you're going to be keeping it in.
I would just say once we have that timer go off, we do the get it in, keep it in, and we articulate to the players on the field and the coaches that we're coming up to that under 2 minutes. So you're going to get it in. You got to stay in the box. Once you start the count and we're under 2 minutes, get it in, keep it in. Okay, just to remind them that they got to get it in. And if they get in there before that 20 seconds has expired, then it's just to keep it in. If they bounce back out, you lose the ball. And then anytime there's a get it in, keep it in, we know as officials, players know as players, that's a 10-second count. So it's because a stall can happen anywhere after they've touched it in.
And if they get it in and then call a timeout, they get the 10-second. After they come back out of timeout, they got 10 seconds to get it back in.
Yes.
And we can still install any other time in the game at discretionary install.
Yes, and that's 10 seconds. So when the timer stops, obviously the other team gets the ball. That's a reset on the new 30-second timer, unless they're already in the attack area, right? Everybody got that? Clearing team in possession of the ball touches. Okay, so if you touch the line, you get in the line, the ball touches the line, the ball crosses through the corner of the field, any portion of that line, or a player making a pass who's inside the box, on the box, touches the ball, right? Because he's grounded inside the box. That stops the clock. Or a player who's inside, who leaps up in the air and knocks down a pass, you are where you were. So he was in the box. That situation.
If you're over the box.
You don't even have to be over. If he goes out, leaps, knocks down the ball before his feet hit the ground, you are where you, I mean, very technical, but you are where you were. Loose ball, play on. Anywhere on the field, we get a ball that's loose, nobody's gained possession, right? And the offensive team recovers the ball after a defensive push or whatever, interference, reset to full 30. Officials sound the whistle, stop play for any reason. So for whatever reason, we blow the whistle and stop play, inadvertent whatever, we're going to have to reset to the full 30 seconds. Timeouts, we've talked about that. Any timeouts will be a reset to full 30, offensive or defensive. Loose ball goes out of bounds. So we talked about that situation where the ball's touched, it goes out of bounds off a defensive player, then that's going to be a reset. And the reason that is a reset is you don't know how far that ball is going to be going. If you're on the clock, time is running while the ball should be actually dead. Okay, so that's a reset. There are sections, Article 2 and 3 in the new rule book, the normal over and back still applies, okay? So there's no changes to the rule book on over and back. But you got to establish yourself into the goal area, right? Before over and back can occur, okay? So that's what that Article 2 and 3 are still good with. So the first one, situation A. A1 has possession in the offensive half of the field. His pass is intercepted by B1. So when that happens, what are we doing? Reset. During the clear, Team A regains possession outside the goal area in its offensive half of the field. What? Another reset, right? 30 seconds on we go. Okay, situation B. Team A has possession of the ball in its offensive half of the field, and A is or B is not under the 30-second count. Okay, offensive half. So in the second case, they've already touched it in. First case, they haven't touched it in yet. A1 passes the ball to A2, who is in Team A's defensive half of the field, or A1 carries the ball across the midfield line. So what happens in the situation where we haven't touched it in yet? It comes back across the midfield line.
Count continues.
It's not an over and back. We
It's not in.
we haven't touched it in. We still have the 30-second going. Okay, 30-second count going. But once it gains the attack area, and that happens, assuming the defense is not the last touch, not a shot, all those kind of situations. Situation C, Team A has the possession of the ball in its offensive half of the field and is not under a 30-second count or stall warning. So normal play, they've touched in, no stall warning. The ball becomes loose and crosses the center line without having been touched by Team B, and A regains possession in the defensive half of the field.
It has touched by.
Oh, has been touched, yeah. Has been touched by the defensive player. So a defender makes a great play, ball bounces across the midfield line. What do we have? No over and back, and just a reset. Team A has complied with the requirements to bring the ball into the goal area within 30 seconds and is not under stall warning. Team B deflects A1's pass out of bounds in Team A's offensive half of the field, defensive half of the field. What do? We're now totally clear, right? They've got their ball, they've touched it in. D-man deflects it. It goes out on the offensive end. It goes out on the defensive end. What do we do? Offensive end? Anything?
Nothing, because there's no change of possession.
That's right. There's no change of possession.
We don't have a new count.
Right. On the defensive end now, just almost like the last one where they've touched it and it's gone over the line,
Went off on the defense.
it goes off on the defense.
Defense forced it out.
Same thing.
No, you're going to have to reset because you're now on the defensive half of the field.
The reset, okay.
Defensive half of the field.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, well,
Yep, slide. Under 30 seconds is under a 30-second count when the ball becomes loose, so they haven't gotten it in yet. Team B commits a technical violation and a play on is called. Okay, so we got the ball's loose, we got a defensive team with a push. In Team A's defensive end of the field or in Team A's offensive end of the field, what is the ruling? What do you do?
Reset. New 30 seconds.
On both ends?
Same thing.
That's right. It's the same on both ends, so you just reset it. And then the last one's about a face-off. So you have a situation, I'll just talk through it. Ball rolls across one of the restraining lines, no possession. What do? Play. So that now releases the players. And now, without a possession being gained, the ball comes back across midfield line. Do we have an over and back? No over and back because nobody ever had possession, right? Okay. All right, rule changes. This whole help me out, Doctor Coleman. Comatocordis is an issue. So by 2020, there's a new chest protector for goalies that will be in place. That 2021, yeah. And then field players are going to have they're designing a new chest for the field players. Some people ask, well, why would you do it for the field players? 50% of those situations happen to the goalie, 50% to a field player, just because there's more, even though it's less likely to occur, there's more of them, and they're going to put that into effect, just to be aware.
Yeah, if you get hit in the chest in the right spot, at the exact spot of the EKG, the electrical cycle, it can stop your heart.
It adds to the rules, so this really doesn't become a player for us. We only use the CBO end of the year of what the CBO responsibilities are. Play a ball. So the effect of this is because of restarts, we're going to talk restart changes here. The defensive player no longer has to be outside of 5 yards, and we'll get into that here shortly. If you're carrying, cradling, passing, or shooting, the player and team have possession. Restarts. Okay, so we'll show more on this. Offensive players still have to be outside of 5 yards to do a restart. Offensive players. Okay, because the old ball trick, who's really got the ball. We want to make sure we get fair and good restarts. So, here's the ball. If you're putting it in the stick, we want you close to the ball. Don't let two offensive players be together. Where this occurs a lot is typically around the crease with the goalie and a D-man close together. He has to get 5. So that doesn't change. However, on the quick restart now, if there's a defender anywhere within 5 and he's the only person there, you can get the restart going. Okay, so we immediately blow the whistle in the play. That defensive player cannot either A, be in line with the goal in that offensive player, number 1. Number 2, without ever getting 5 yards of separation, play that player. So that could occur in a situation at the midfield. A D guy's running right next to or behind an offensive player who's ready to go. They're running down the field together. He never separates 5 yards, and then he gets inside the box and starts playing. We have a situation. And what it is, it's a delay of game. So it'd be a flag down, delay of game situation. Now, that does not give the offensive player the right, so the goal's here, the D guy's here, for him to go run into this guy. Now, if he goes and hits him, and softly hits him, and goes, you got nothing. Right? Unless he wards or moves the body with a single arm and all that stuff that we will talk about warding, or he unnecessary roughness goes or dumps ahead, then we got some bigger penalties on the offensive player. So the bottom line is it's in the defense's responsibility to get away from that guy towards the goal.
But we're not going to let him hold up the restart.
Correct. So boom, he's ready to go. And tell the players, don't start running down the field. Wait for that whistle. I'll give you a quick whistle, but we got to have a fair start. Sometimes you're indicating a foul or things like that you got to get cleaned up first.
It's like the college rule.
Yeah, it's the college rule. Beginning of the year, I would remind them, but in reality, no. There's no requirement for you to give. That's just preventative officiating. Remind them to get away 5 yards, but you really don't want. You're now impairing the offensive player if you're ready to go and he's within 5. Blow the whistle, because he doesn't have to be 5 yards away. They can be right next to each other. He's going that way down the field, I'm here, and we run down the field together. There's no penalty until I play him. Once I get 5 yards as we're running down and I come back and play him, that's legal. Okay, is everybody clear on that?
Basically what he's saying is you can run around the field for a minute, and as long as you don't play him or get in his way of wherever he wants to go, there's no foul until he engages.
And in his way of where he wants to go is a line between you and the goal.
It just makes it more advantageous for the defensive player to hurry up and get away from him.
That's right. So I think there's some slides here.
Yeah.
So in this one, ball's here, lead, I guess that's single side. Ball's here, defender's here. That's good. See, he gives them 5 yards, gets out of the way, 5 yards, and that would be legal.
I'm just going to play a couple times.
If I were the D man, I'd move myself 5 yards this way and wait for him, but that is illegal. He got out of the way, right?
Silly, but
Get his back straight up.
And that's what you see. Yeah, exactly. So when you watch a college game now and you see this situation occur where the ball's loose and possession's awarded, you'll see the D-man or the new defensive players start moving upfield to get in a position where they can be legal to play defense again. So in this case, this situation, like you're just talking about, is illegal. He cannot engage him. He never got 5 yards.
right.
If he does, just throw the flag, right? Flag down, and let the play continue.
Now, the definition of engage doesn't necessarily mean, I don't think, that you have to make contact.
Nope.
But if you just get there waving.
That's right. You deny a pass, any of that. That's right. That's delay a game. Within 5 yards.
I was actually on the webinar where the LOLA interpretations came out, and that particular situation came up. So if the goalie has possession of the ball in the crease, and we have a situation where we're restarting, this rule applies for delay of game. However, because a lot of the riding attackmen are going to jump in front of the goalie. They don't want them to make that outlet pass. Okay? So we have two problems here. We have a situation where you have a flag down for a delay of game because he's playing within 5 yards. But what happens whenever he makes contact with that riding attacker? So now you have another foul during a flag down situation. So what happens then?
That's two. It's a second flag down.
Second flag down. However, the way that it was interpreted from the powers that be, in that situation only, that is considered to be all in one. Even though that by rule, that's a foul during a flag down situation, it's going to be just as one play. Now, however, play restarts. The riding attackman is within 5 yards of the
D-man.
goalie. Okay? If the goalie does something to where he goes away from that riding attackman for a moment, and then we're still in the flag down situation, and then when he goes to make contact, or he makes the pass, and there's contact made after a moment or so, then that would be a situation where we'd have the...
So the goalie has made a move to get himself free, inside the crease, free of that interference, that with the delay of game that's already occurred, and now the attackman moves to interfere again.
That's where...
that would be a second
So
one.
like if he goes to try to pass, he says, "Oh, I'm not going to do that." So now you got your flag down for
Delay.
the delay. Now I step over to the side of the crease. He follows me.
Yeah.
Then you have a second foul.
Then you got
Yeah.
But if
Okay,
it's
so
all
what
in
happens
one...
on that? Finish it. What happens on the second foul? What do you do?
So it blows right, second flag down, kills the play.
Subsequent foul stops
The play. this happens after typically after a face-off, right? We make a decision on the face-off. Guys are still close together, or the balls come over. Typical mechanic. If there's a D-man anywhere really close to that attackman getting the ball, blow it dead. What's really nice about this now, because of this 5-yard rule, you're not really taking the advantage away from, if for some reason the attackman was able to get to that ball quickly and move, if you can restart that play right away, and that D-man has to get, because you've blown the whistle, has to give him 5, right? He has to give him 5. So when that ball crosses that midfield line, you're pretty much sprung load to blow the whistle, call it, call the over and back and move on. Okay, but this is kind of showing a midfield situation close together. So first is the good. He moves out of the way, gets there to the goal. Again, legal. As far as you're concerned, you're not the coach. That's a legal play. What you'll see is he'll turn and run and get down in the field or get away from him. Okay, but that's the legal thing. And then the illegal, he goes with them and engages him, 30, 40 yards down the field. That's still delay a game. You got to be watching for that. Remember that. They were close together, and you're gonna keep it in your mind all the way down the field. Does he ever get 5? Okay, what happens if one or more offensive players are within 5 yards of the player with the ball to be restarted? So what do we do? If Dustin and I, same team, we're blue, I'm ready to restart.
We tell them to open up.
Right. And if you...
They can get a delayed game.
Right. You could start your 5-second count on those two to get the hell apart, right? Defensive players within 5 yards of the ball carrier on restart, but gives the offensive player a clear path to the goal, and it is the offensive player who veers and contacts with the defense player. Is there a foul?
Not unless it's on the offensive player.
Right. Not unless it's the offensive player. He does something
Worse than just bumping into
just bumping. All right, that's right. Does the offense get a quick restart when there's a loose ball technical foul violation in the offensive team's attack area? So in the attack area?
No.
No, you have to move it lateral out of the box. And does the offensive team get a quick restart when they have possession of the ball in close proximity to the substitution box? Move them in. Right, get them away from the box. I always point to the wing line because that's easy to see. And as soon as he's there, if the guy's still within 5, blow it to start. Yep.
Safety precaution.
I'd like to add to that point. So in the Bermuda Triangle area in front of the scores table, that's going to be a controlled restart. We're
Right.
going to do a quick one there. But we're also not going to do a quick one when it's a controlled restart. After a timeout, we're not going to allow a defenseman to stand next to the, we're going to give them a controlled restart. After a timeout, that was on that webinar.
Yeah.
No cheap foul.
Starting a period when somebody's got possession,
Yeah.
we're not going to do the quick restart. Or after a penalty is served, after you've called a C note, you're not going to allow a defenseman to be standing right next to you.
So typically where this occurs, again, tight portions of the game, usually late in the game, you're at the midfield line getting ready to clear, and of course all those attackmen are right there at the midfield line. You can still, and you should, count out those 5 yards so that they know where their 5 yards are for that controlled restart, so you have a fair restart. Okay, the new cross rules. Other than the long strings and the beer cap, end cap situation, which you tell the players to go correct and fix, right? All penalties associated with the cross are now 2 minutes unreleasable. That's all you need to know. Deep pocket, bad pocket, bent, it's got a hook type thing for the whip. All those things are now 2 minutes non-releasable. And the stick can re-enter the game.
All sticks?
All sticks. But if it re-enters the game illegal still, it's still illegal, and they can penalize it again. Okay? So they're responsible for fixing the stick, and it can come back in the game. And that's how I would address it. Fix the stick, you can come back in the game.
So it doesn't stay at the table.
It doesn't stay at the table. For this, remember this, if you're doing any college, this is not true of the college game. This is the high school game.
Is the U is still legal?
Yes, it's illegal. Illegal.
Yeah. So I don't know if we have that in our slides, but
4 inches from the top.
4 inches from the top.
That was on the rule changes for last year.
Yeah.
Just to kind of piggyback on Lux with this, the ones that they were talking about that are going to be the ones that we're going to not worry about, the end cap, but also the donut at the bottom of the cross if it's greater than a 3-inch circumference.
Fix it.
That's a fix it. And also the excess length of the shooting strings, if it's more than 2 inches, that's also just a fix it, no foul. So those 3 things, end cap, donuts, and excess shooting string.
And then if they don't repair it, if they keep showing up on the field, now you have a repetitive problem and you can penalize them for that. The throwing of the cross. All right, this is meant for a deliberate throw. Not guy makes a check and the check follow through, it bounces out, it falls, he's reaching for a ball, it comes out of his hand. Throwing it at a player, other game personnel, I guess that's a coach or a referee, or the ball, is a 1, 2, or 3 minute non-releasable penalty. And then any of the other situations where ball, it comes loose or whatever, you still have the playing without the stick technical foul. Anything is unsportsmanlike on this side as a non-releasable 1 to 3 minutes. 1 minute being ball's going overhead and he throws the stick up in the air to intercept the ball. That's probably a 1 minute, right? The one where the kid comes up to a guy and whips the stick at him, and tries to wrap it around the guy's neck, that's probably 3 minutes. If not something else like an unsportsmanlike conduct ejection. So what happens after a goal? Frustrated, throws a stick, you want to give him a technical. What do? Post-goal.
What happens during dead ball technical fouls?
Balls awarded.
It's just a change of
Yeah.
possession.
Just give the possession.
I'm thinking the other way, the guy throws a stick because he was happy with anything.
Yeah, that's
Throws
only
it up
at
in the air.
the end of time for overtime and the championship.
Right, exactly.
They're making all
Well, you're not going to take it away.
Yeah. Well, the game's over. We can't do any stick checks or anything else, right? So, again, your officials, you're managing the game. This is remember, Jim Carbonell says this, knowing the rule book allows you the flexibility to know how you can use the rule book so that you can manage the game for the full scale. So we just talked about that. Offensive players have to be more than 5 yards away. Let's get good restarts. Don't let them do the hidden ball trick. Sometimes you'll see that on a shot behind the goal, not within 5, but 2 guys pick up the ball, 1 pretends to put it down. Make them show who's got the ball. Don't let that happen. And then we talked about throwing the ball at the ball player. It's a non-releasable. You got your choice, 1, 2, or 3. Good. Points of emphasis, sportsmanship and conduct. Let's talk a little bit on player safety. My personal concern is with especially shots to the head. Just think of college football now where they are. Anything to the head now, there's an ejection. So let's work on protecting the heads and being firm in those calls. Anything to the head is a minimum of 2 minutes non-releasable. And if it's targeting, with the intent to harm, anger, it's 3 minutes minimum, 3 minutes ejection. Let's have those discussions. And they're finding a lot of problems with the concussing, especially with younger kids. Yale did a study last year, I think it was in their just halfway through the season, with subconcussion injuries to the head, their ability to do math skills and verbal skills decreased significantly. So they don't know what the long-term effect of that's going to be, but the short-term, there's issues there. So we're really working to try to protect the kid's head in particular. Remember, as officials, as coaches get upset, get uptight, players get uptight, we need to calm and get cool, right? It's hard to do. Work as a crew to turn, tap out the official who's getting stressed out, move him to the other side, work as a crew, take over, come up with some signals so that we can maintain professional. We're the only ones that are not picking sides. You should expect the coach on Team A and the coach on Team B to be biased towards their team, all right, and their fans. You're the only neutral party, so try to remain that way. Try to remain calm when no one else can. Continued emphasis on player safety, contact the head and neck, 2 or 3 minute non-releasable, defenseless player. So what are the defenseless players? Blindside hit, buddy pass up in the air and exposed, head down on a scoop, somebody coming through and cleaning their clock. Targeting when a player intentionally takes aim at an opponent's head and neck. Targeting shall be result in a 3 minute non-releasable penalty or ejection. Okay, so that discussion should be starting with, are we ejecting? And why? And why not? Because it's 3 minutes, right? It's targeting. Yep, we got it's targeting. Okay, what are we doing about ejection? Don't be afraid to eject. This is high school.
Yeah, the league policy is the coach or player is ejected, is suspended from the next game.
The entire next game, or the
entire next game.
So one of the biggest gripes from the coaches that I heard at the end of the season, why they wanted to go to college rules, is pace of play. And that, with the quick restarts, that should help some of that stuff out. Again, when you call penalties, be efficient in your penalty call. The other two referees getting things ready, hustling all the time. We can do things to increase the pace of play. I think that was a valid issue when compared to kind of college and that kind of pace. All right, that 5-yard restart will help a lot.
When you handle a review of 713 Article 1, how do you deal with that? What are the standards?
Mistakes by officials?
We make mistakes, right? So that's good. Coaches do wank. So 713, wait, was it Article 1? Correction of errors, misapplication of rule. When a head coach believes an official has misapplied a rule, the head coach may approach the scorer's table to request a coach official timeout for the purpose of discussing the application of the rule. This request shall be made prior to the next live ball. The timekeeper will sound a double horn to get you over. So listen them out. If you have misapplied the rule, then there's all kinds of things in the next couple pages how to correct that rule. And then if not, he's assessed. This is what it is. This is how I saw it happen. I saw this. Well, you know, we're gonna agree to disagree on that. But if it's an application of the rule,
Right, for example, you've given a 30-second penalty for a slash. The
Yeah.
coach says, hold on.
Right.
You've made a mistake with the rules. But if he says, I don't think that was a slash, you got all stick, that's not subjective. That is not a proper question, and he's going to get charged a timeout.
it's timeout. And the bottom line is you charge him a timeout. Now, game management. You know, listening to that coach, keeping your eye on the field. You know, I hear your coach, acknowledge. You know, acknowledge what he has said. If he's asking a question, answer the question, get the question to the coach. Answered. It might not be you. We'll get it. Next time I'll bring it back to you. But do that.
Communication.
So there is some good communication. But if he's just chirping at you, if you can ignore it, ignore it. I'm not going to, and you can tell the coach, I'm not going to respond to comments. You have a question, ask me the question. If you think I've applied the rule, come to the box. We'll discuss it. But managing the coaches is an issue, and many times they just don't know the rules.
If it was a very brief 713 Article 1, he gets the rest of that time
For his
as his
timeout.
timeout that he's now eating into.
If he's wrong and they're out of timeouts, man down, how long?
Well, or turn over the ball 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
It's a technical foul.
Technical foul.
So Rob brings up a good point. So especially with the coach, you can even explain to him if he's chirping at you, coach, if you have a misapplication rule, we'll go to the table, we'll discuss it, and if you're right, I'll change what we call. If you're wrong, you lose your time. I mean, it's just all part of it. You might not have to
Slides
go
that we have here, these are going to be some video clips of certain scenarios dealing with restarts. I actually dug this video up from the 2017 film room for NILO, which is a college lacrosse officiating. So we're going to watch a few videos here, and hopefully this helps us. It gives us some better insight on exactly what Lux has been talking about for the past hour and a half.
In today's film, we'll be talking about restarts and some of the problems that can occur if we don't execute them properly. We want to resume play quickly, but not with pants on fire. This is where we continuously get ourselves in trouble. A restart that happens too quickly is when we put ourselves in jeopardy of criticism. Errors seem to compound in these cases. We also have to be ready, not just the players. Consider the following during restarts. First, if the defense doesn't comply and plays the ball, you need to call a penalty. Secondly, we shouldn't put the defensive player in a no-win situation when he's trying to comply. Everyone has the right to understand what your call was and be able to see your visual signal. For example, if the player entitled to possession has already taken off from where he's supposed to have his restart, and you're still in the process of completing your signals, bring him back to the proper spot for the restart. After shots out of bounds on the end line, we've been fairly consistent in bringing players to the proper spot before restarting the play, within a few feet of where the ball went out of bounds, even to the point of waiting several seconds before we restart play. Shouldn't we strive to be consistent on restarts, especially if the player has gained an advantage he is not entitled to? Remember, the defense can restart in the attack goal area or even in the crease. This should be easy to manage. Keep in mind the crease is 18 feet in diameter and the goal line is centered in it. This leaves only 3 yards from goal line to the top of the crease. Be careful with this restart. Remember not to let an offensive player get a full-out running restart from out of bounds, but a rolling stop is okay. He must establish himself in bounds prior to the official blowing his whistle. Turnover restarts. When a turnover occurs, warding off, interference, etc., there is always some degree of uncertainty as to what the call is and which team will have possession on the restart. Oftentimes, one player will check the cross of the ball carrier, trying to knock the ball out, in anticipation of gaining an advantage on a quick restart. If this happens, the team gaining possession has lost the opportunity for a quick restart. By not allowing the official the time to signal the call, they forfeit any restart advantage they may have had. If we call this consistently, players will understand this concept and wait for our whistle to restart play. As we watch the beginning of this clip, the offensive team moves the ball around the perimeter, ultimately taking a shot, which is saved by the goalie, and goes out of bounds behind the cage. As the offensive team goes to restart, there are 3 players near to the ball when the whistle blows. There is some confusion about who has the ball on the restart. The offensive team ends up shooting and scoring. Notice where each player is on the restart relative to each other. It is certainly questionable whether each of the players is within 5 yards of each other. The officials should be much more patient when restarting a play like this. As you can see, one of the players pretends to pick up the ball. The official blows the whistle. The player who has the ball, who has just stepped in bounds, begins to execute a hidden ball trick with his teammate. It is unclear whether those players were more than 5 yards apart at the restart. The goalie has time to recover, but the defender does not.
If we saw that happen, how should we handle that?
Well, we discussed that with the rule interpretations. If we see that happening, stop it and restart it back at the spot where we're supposed to restart.
If you're not sure who's got the ball, if they're not sure who's got the ball, back it up.
Running. We don't want running starts.
Yeah, so we're gonna stop.
You don't even have to blow a whistle. You haven't blown a whistle yet, you know?
No, but the guy's running and about to blow the whistle.
Yeah.
And I'm saying if he does go to scoop it, that's when you blow the whistle, right? I mean, it could be 2 whistles real fast.
Well, you got to look at it like this. Or if there's nobody around him, okay, then as soon as I see him scoop it up, I'm probably going to blow the whistle to give him that quick restart.
Right.
Like if he's, I say jogging or coming quickly towards the ball to scoop it up and go, I'm going to give him that.
In summary, do we want quick restarts? Absolutely. Do we want restarts that create chaos? No. Do we want quick but controlled restarts? Yes.
So the video that we just watched was something that I added into the original U.S. Lacrosse PowerPoint. So the next few videos that we're going to see came directly from the U.S. lacrosse rule changes and rule interpretations. So here we're going to have offensive players at less than 5 yards on the restart. You can see here the official is at the face-off area. Watch what he does when play starts.
Remember this.
So by the time, by the time he gets back into the play, there's already a goal scored. Do you have any audio here? Yes.
Sometimes they
how
have.
not to do a video.
Right. So the ref, during this meeting that discussed this, the ref who did it said, yep, this is what I did wrong. I was distracted by the coach. So, bottom line, put that ball up, put it in a stick, be standing there, make sure they're 5 yards across.
Oh, God.
I mean, there's nothing illegal there's illegal. They're within 5. You should have never given them the start.
I'm not sure if these had any
Are we allowed
audio.
to call the goalie
Some do,
into
some
the
don't.
ball, like goalie balls
No.
like at the eggs? Or
Well, we will at every extra man restart.
got it.
Right, but in a regular restart, it shouldn't be.
It should be clear and obvious who has the ball.
After penalties, where it's starting, dead ball potentially.
But now that's
But you're not as the ball. If they're playing I thought you were talking about a hidden ball trick. You don't tell them when the ball.
no, not like during a play. I'm talking about like, let's say this quick restart's going on, right? Customarily, what I'm looking to see before I really get the start going, I want 20 right there to raise a stick and acknowledge the fact that he has the ball, right? Like so.
That's one way to go about it.
Not so much on a quick restart, though, on a settled restart.
Yeah. Settled restart.
On the offensive half, goalie, ball's right here.
Okay.
So as you can see, both of the players are clearly within 5 yards of each other. 24 appears to have it, and 20 takes off, shoots and scores. Okay, big disadvantage there. We'll go to the next one. Offensive player restarts from out of bounds too fast. It's kind of hard to see it, but just go ahead and we'll just go ahead and play it. He makes the pass. He's out of bounds, makes the pass. We'll see that again. It'll play again.
Yeah, he passed before he stepped on the field.
Trying to get like a 20-yard advantage.
Ball's bouncing, goes out of bounds. Player in blue scoops it up, out of bounds, makes a pass. That's probably 15 yards difference there, give or take.
And had he stepped onto the field in that white midi, tagged him with a stick to try and get the ball out, that's a delayed game, right?
Yep.
Against White right there.
Let's look if he's within 5. But yeah, if he's within 5.
Yeah, one knows what I know for sure.
Glad you brought that up. Okay, so we're going to watch it one more time.
There it is.
It's like 17 right there. Had he turned around and
Both of them were out of bounds, actually.
Yeah, but if he would have turned around and played him, but in that
he would have
case,
turned around and tagged him once with like a stick just to dislodge it. That's still delayed.
or puts up his stick to
Block him up, yeah.
try to block up.
All right, when that guy restarts from out of bounds like that, my inclination would just be to stop it.
Yeah,
We're gonna
that's
go
what they
back.
did.
That's what they did here. You can see it right here.
The restart.
It should be the single. Well, that's a communication right there. That's a good point. In this situation right here where the ball's going out of bounds, the single side official should be going where? To the midline, okay? So at that point right there, if I'm the single side official, I'm running to the midline with my hand up, okay? And I may actually be pointing to the trail official saying, you got it. I want the trail official to take that call. If I, as a single side, am going to take that whistle, I want that guy to be at least right here when the ball goes out of bounds, at the minimum, So definitely down in this end here, we want the trail to do that restart. So my hand's up, and my hand is going to stay up until that player right there steps inbounds. When that player steps inbounds, my hand goes here, trail blows the whistle, okay? So,
But as the single side had that white player turned around and stick checked him or gotten in the way, it's still the single side's call for the delay.
Sure.
Or whoever sees.
The trail official is actually keying on that area, so if the trail has a flag on that, that's fine as well.
Okay.
Offensive player properly reestablish inbounds. Okay, this is going to be just a pretty basic one here. Ball goes out of bounds.
Yeah.
Single side's moving to the midline. You don't have to wait until you get to the midline to blow that whistle. If he scoops that ball up and he's in bounds just like he does here, get it going. And you can see where he is on this side of the restraining line. Single side can have his hand up, point at the trail, I got this, and crank it. Trail / new lead getting down. You saw how he was running with his head away from the field? Keep your eyes on everything.
You're looking at over and back.
Over and back. Within 5 yards.
There's the flag. It was a hell of a flag.
No.
Aaron pass. Over and back. Tweet, 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 tweet. Going the other way. Within 5 yards. Throw the flag. It's pretty basic right there. That's when you're going to see it happen the most. That's it as far as the rule change is concerned. Did you have anything you wanted to go over as far as simultaneous fouls?
Yeah, we can potentially do that. Let's just some big things. Okay, so calls. We want something big happens. Somebody gets that big hit. Get a flag on the ground. You can always clean it up. If it looked bad, pretty sure something happened. Get that flag down on the field so that we manage the big hits, right? The big problems during the game. If you decide to wave it off, you can always come out and wave that thing off. So big fouls, we don't pass them. You control a game through management of your technical fouls. So you're looking for consistency in calls, big and small, but let's talk big first. So your first slash of the game establishes for the crew what a slash is going to be. So pre-game, you want to talk about that a little bit. To try to align your crew into similar type calls, okay? But that slash kind of initial hit, that initial flag, establishes what we want as consistency throughout the game. You may have to adjust your style a little bit based on what has just happened, okay? Technical fouls allow you to control pace of play. That question came up a little bit earlier, what you will accept, what you won't accept. And with technical fouls, in my opinion, there's a little bit of a statute of limitations. So a 50-50 push at one end, if we just have that same thing happen a few minutes later at the other end, probably needs to go the same way. That same push needs to be a push at the other end. But the game goes on a little bit longer and it's getting a little rougher. I want to call it tighter. You can use those technical fouls to tighten up the game a little bit more, where you're getting the ball off the ground and back in the sticks and things like that. So use those technical fouls to help manage your game, control your game. You mentioned simultaneous fouls. It's good to read the rule book on simultaneous fouls, okay, to really make sure you understand what they are. Those fouls occur during live play, right? Multiple fouls on opposing teams during live ball. Okay, same live ball situation would be considered a simultaneous, or on a dead ball when you can't determine order, like a fight would be a good example, or a pushing match or something kind of occurs. So when we so let's just say we're dealing with the simultaneous, make sure you have simultaneous fouls. Live ball, dead ball,
where you've blown the whistle and then you have another foul, that's different. That's not simultaneous. So live, we'll take a situation where a guy, you have a defensive flag down and then a attackman turns around and slashes somebody. A couple things that you need to do. Make sure you come together as a crew, figure out what calls are going to be. Let's say we have that slash is a 1 minute slash followed by an unsportsmanlike 2 minute by the attackman. So you assess those two penalties and the common denominator time has to be locked in so that defender, both of them would have to be 1 minute. Obviously the unsportsmanlike 2 minute is going to be locked in for the full 2. But a minimum of that least denominator time has to be locked in. So that's kind of on the penalties, who's in, how long they have to say, and how much has to be locked in. Make sure you figure that out. Next thing is who gets the ball. Okay, so you're going through the situation. First of all, is who has the most penalty time. The other opposing team gets that ball. The team with the less amount of time. If the times are equal, who was entitled to the ball? So when the first foul, based on the first foul, who had the ball or who was entitled to the ball gets the ball if the time's equal. If the ball's on the ground, then you go to your AP to figure that out. This is about the only situation, I think the only situation, where the ball will restart regardless of who gets it at the point of where you blow it dead. So if it's inside the box, the offensive team gets it, you have to take it outside. But it stays at that end of the field. You'll hear a lot of screaming, we get our free clear or whatever. You don't. The ball stays in that area.
The key is live, leave it. Live, simultaneous, leave it where it was for the restart.
Yes, for the restart.
Dead ball, simultaneous field, dead center. So live, leave it, dead center.
Good, look at that. That's a
Nice.
thanks.
I never heard that.
Thanks, Bill.
Where'd you pick that up?
And then one other little got you with locking in penalties from whistle end to whistle start. If there's multiple penalties on the teams, the common time is locked in between the penalties. So try to think of one where we
Technicals.
Yes, because if it's a flag and the guy is in, from the stop whistle to the start whistle, we have, let's say we have a personal foul that started the situation. The other team is entitled to the ball, getting ready to start, and they do something, conduct, let's make it worse. Let's think another personal,
Throws his stick at the referee.
yeah, throws his stick on the ground, is mad, he has a turnover, and then maligns the referee or something like that. So now we have a situation where they're not simultaneous penalties, but you're going to lock in the common time between the two penalties. Okay, does that make sense?
That's a big point. I struggled with that whole simultaneous because I kept associating that with this locked-in time thing.
Yeah.
That's a separate rule in rule number 7. So players of opposing teams who start their penalty time on the same tick of the clock, regardless of how they got there, it could be 4 dead ball fouls. If they're opposing members, you take the lowest common penalty time, that's locked in.
Right.
Okay? Now, simultaneous fouls are going to be that.
Yes, they default to that.
They're going to default to that because they're going to start at the same time.
Right.
But they're only related like that. They're two separate things. The other thing that's weird about simultaneous fouls that you got to get your head around is there are 2 situations that technically the play is a simultaneous, but because we're under a play on or a flag down, it's not a special exception to that. For example, I'll tell you a good example is goodies. Goodies, I slashed. And then the team that has the ball wards.
That's a simultaneous.
Technically it's simultaneous, but that ward penalty is not going into the box.
Right.
So he's not going to go 30 seconds because it's a special situation. That's how we do things with a flag down. The technical foul by the offended team only stops the play.
Right.
He doesn't serve time. Now, if he does something big, a minute or more, he's going to get a personal foul. He is going to serve time. But technical fouls and the good for the offended team do not serve time. Same thing with the play on.
Right, so before he goes into discussion, play-ons we want to keep short. And the reason we want to keep them short is because of the situation Bill's about to describe, or was, I'll take it, is you have a loose ball push on blue, loose ball against red, and then red is frustrated because he might not have heard the play on or anything else, turns around and slashes blue, where we would have had everything just totally cleaned up, ball up, and red stick ready to go. Now we have simultaneous fouls, right? Because we're in live, we've let the play on go a little too long, or red's a little too hot. Now in that situation, red has a 1-minute penalty. He has to serve the 30-second penalty. Red has a minute. He has 30 seconds, so blue will get the ball at the spot of the foul, and they will be locked in together for the first 30 seconds of his, and then his entire 30 seconds.
To clarify though, if you have a live and a dead ball where they both start, they're serving the time at the same time, that's not locked in.
Yes, it's common time. No matter how you get there, penalty time served by players from opposing teams that starts on the same tick of the clock, you apply that rule.
Yep.
The lowest common denominator gets locked in.
Even if they're live and dead, because they're not simultaneous.
Live and dead.
It's not the locking in. What Bill kind of points out is really not a simultaneous thing. The locking in is based on the penalties all starting on the same tick of the clock. And simultaneous falls into that. He gave another example.
And on your situation, Andy, live ball and dead ball, even though we have the common time that's going to be non-releasable, with there being live ball and dead ball, it's easier to award the ball that way. Because the dead ball foul, the team that was offended during that dead ball period is going to get possession, no matter what the common time is.
Right.
And then I guess the last unusual situation, and again, and we should have enough experienced referees out there to make sure this goes right. Let's say we have multiple fouls that end up being more than 3 players. So let's use 4 players. And so what do? So 4 players. What we do, it's called stacking the box. Only 3 players come off the field, right? And they serve those penalty serve in the penalty box. The other player who is actually substituted for on the field is at the bench, up against, ready to go into the box when a couple things happen. So let's say a goal is, let's take the situation, a goal is scored, all those penalties were releasable. Goals scored, all those 3 players come out, but because that 4th player hasn't started serving any time yet, he has to go on the box, and it's a man down face. The other situation is, let's say Dustin had a 30-second foul, the other 2 had 1-minute fouls. As soon as Dustin leaves the box, actually doesn't leave the box, he steps to the bench, this other guy comes in and steps into the box, and you still have 3 players in the box. So somebody has to know at the table that in that situation, nobody can come onto the field until that you've cleared all the guys lined up who have yet to serve the penalty.
In what order do you put these 5 guys in the box? Order of the fouls?
No, it's based on severity. Yeah, that's right. Right, so non-releasables would be first, personals, then technicals. And 3, 2, 1 on the personals.
Keys are, you're going to have more than 3 guys from the team in the box at a time, A, and B, your penalty time cannot start unless you're in the box.
Right.
All right, so what we're going to do now is, if everybody would go ahead and get your Kahoot app going.
Mine's got an Excel.
Quiz. Goalies must have chest protection that meets NOXI Indy 200 standard by January 1st of which year?
2021.
2021.
Oh, wait.
So, the next question.
Okay.
Field players must have shoulder pads that meet the NOXI N200 standard by January 1st of which year? Remember they had... Oh, everybody got that one.
No.
True or false?
One of the CBO's duties include validating that there are too few players on the field. Half and half.
Whoa!
Press the button.
Trying to be the fastest.
A player carrying, cradling, passing, or shooting. The player and team have possession. Share much, you got that one right. True or false? The offensive players must be 3 yards from the player restarting the ball. The armadillo and hit ball plays are acceptable.
Hey, we all got that one.
Second one. Where you at, proud quail?
I'm trying. I already knew where
Officials wait for defensive players to position themselves 5 yards from the player in possession of the ball on the restart. Don't blurt out answers. All illegal cross penalties are 3-minute non-releasable personal fouls.
Everybody remember that?
These are all just rule change questions right now.
I should be better by tomorrow.
Yeah. The cross can be corrected for use later in the game and does not have to stay at the table. It's too easy for them. What happened to proud quail? Drop it.
It's third place.
I think my connection's low.
True or false? Throwing a cross at the ball at a player or other game personnel is an unsportsmanlike foul.
Not in every case.
Lady Raven.
Can you hold up there?
Say it. Okay, so
Not in every case.
not in every case, but according to these rule changes that we just had, throwing a cross at a ball, at a player or other game personnel is considered to be unsportsmanlike.
At people.
At people.
Is that not what it stated?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
At people is bad.
Me killing you is bad.
Who's the Lady Raven? Oh, you play.
You,
Cheat.
All right.
I didn't know what the questions were.
No, he didn't. After a play on, the offended team will have a new 30-second clearing count.
Now, I did write that rule.
Oh, just talk about
We just talked about that.
that's the LHS waiver there. So it doesn't matter what team. During a play on, the offended team will get a new 30. 12. Goalie B1, which was possession inside the crease. A1 checks his cross. Play on continues until.
Uh-oh. It just turned yellow.
Yeah. Okay, so read it again. Goalie B1 with possession inside the crease. Somebody checks his cross. What happens?
Play on.
Play on. Okay, so now we've got scenarios that can happen that there could end the play on. If he steps out of the crease, that ends the play on.
Yeah.
If he allows the 4-second clearing count to expire, obviously that's going to stop the play on. And if the goalie makes a completed pass or an incompleted pass, either way the play on is going to be over. Okay? Now we're not talking about what happens after that, but just what stops the play on, all of them do. The 4-second clearing count expires during the play on.
Technical ends the
Where does the ball restart?
outside the box. No. It was a check. He was checking about the possession. He checked free click.
Free click. Alright.
Same as a crease violation.
Also, yeah.
Goal in possession in the crease. With
Possession, right.
goal in possession in the crease, the interference and the crease violations are penalized exactly.
Alright, let's see where we got here. Elated Raven.
Howard Wombat. I still can't get it. Sure good.
Alright. Now the rest, I didn't tell y'all, but that question on, they're going to be situation questions. It's not going to be rules changes for 2020 questions.
Now it's the next one. Take forever.
Quiz. Clearing defenseman B3 has possession outside of the crease. Riding attackman A2 runs through the crease to cut him off. Play on, turnover, flag down, slow whistle, no foul. One more. One more. Come on. Okay. I don't want to. Flag down, slow whistle. Okay. Possession of the ball. Team has possession of the ball. A technical foul is created. He runs through the crease. That's a foul. Okay. But it has to be possession outside of the crease in order for it to be a flag down, slow whistle. All right. You laid it, Raven. Still top. Come on, somebody's got to pass him up. Next question. True, false. If a player wants to exchange his cross for another cross, he must do so with a teammate inside the substitution area. True or false? Okay. A player may run to his team area and exchange it with a coach, a player, whomever, okay?
He doesn't have to go in. He doesn't have to go in.
Probably not a player.
Well, if they're not supposed to be in the coach's area.
Probably not a player.
Okay. However,
And probably not a player.
if a coach is there, let him exchange it with the coach in that particular place.
Don't care about substitution.
If he goes near the substitution area, it could be a player or a coach. Okay?
They just can't throw.
The coach could actually go from one side of the field all the way to the other cone and stand there with the cross and exchange it. Now, he can't go into the other team's substitution or coaching area and make that exchange, but as long as they're not throwing it. Proud Quail isn't even on the board. All right, here we go. Agent Yeti coming up strong. Next, true or false? A stall, get it in, keep it in, is called off if a shot is taken from below GLE with the head of the cross below GLE. Stall warning, get it in, keep it in, okay? If a valid shot is taken above GLE and it hits the goalie or the pipes, the stall warning is now off. However, if the player is below GLE and the head of the cross is below GLE, that is not considered a valid shot, so it doesn't matter what happens.
So you just can't throw it in the back of the goal.
Right.
Right. That was a rule change last year.
So if the guy takes a shot behind the goal, it hits the goal and the head goes in.
Well, you still have a goal.
Yeah, still a goal.
Falls off. Who scores on a non-shot?
Agent Yeti has a correct streak with 12 correct answers in a row.
Sneaking up on.
True or false? During a flag down slow whistle, a second defensive foul will stop the play unless the scoring play is imminent. Okay. During a flag down slow whistle, a second defensive foul, any subsequent foul is going to stop the play. Well, we're worried about defensive fouls only, okay? If there's a defensive foul during a flag down slow whistle, by rule, it shuts down the play unless we have a scoring opportunity. Okay?
Which is a very gray area.
Yeah.
I mean,
So let's think about some situations that would be a scoring opportunity, okay? Let's say we're in a situation, we have a flag down, slow whistle, and teammate's clearing the ball up the sideline, and he's got a fast break to the goal, okay? In my opinion, we have a scoring play imminent. Now, if he takes off and goes behind the goal to the X, the scoring opportunity is over, in my opinion.
If he makes a pass.
If he makes a pass, okay? So it has to happen like we're ready for an opportunity where he's going to drive to the crease and try and score, okay? Anything else other than that happens, stop it. The imminent scoring opportunity is over. Agent Yeti has taken the lead, 17 out of 20. A1 is clearing the ball. B2 attempts to play him. A1 violently runs through him, knocking him to the ground. Ruling. Okay. Clearing the ball, let's just say B2 gets in front of him, a kid who doesn't know what he's doing, okay? A1 just says, get out of my way. Bows him over. He got to runs through him violently. Yeah.
Got fire.
Clearing, now, I didn't mention anything about hitting with the head. This is just, he just blows him up, takes him out, okay? At the minimum, unnecessary roughness. At the minimum. Agent Yeti, still on top. Question 18. True or false? A player with possession and both hands on the cross may be called for warding. Yes, you may be called for warding with both hands on the cross. Okay? However, you have to have the separation being created on the body. If I have possession of the ball and I have both hands on my cross and I create separation by making contact with the stick, that's legal. Okay? It has to be body to body, separation being created. Okay?
Old language was deleted and a new article was added to this rule. In addition to the rules against warding off with one hand or arm, now a player with two hands on his cross is prohibited from using either hand or arm to push against the body of the defensive player. It is legal for an offensive player to keep two hands on his cross and contact a defender's cross to create space for his hands for a pass, shot, or other lacrosse move. Officials are reminded that a ball carrier who uses his helmet against the head or body of a defender to bowl his way past that defender is not warding off. That player should be charged with a non-releasable personal foul for an illegal body check.
Quiz. Over and back may be called once a player with possession of the ball or the ball itself crosses the midline, crosses the restraining line in the offensive half of the field, touches inside the attack area, goes out of bounds. Okay. Over and back may be called once a player with possession, so player in possession, or the ball itself. So it doesn't matter whether or not the player has possession of the ball or the ball goes into the attack area. You cannot have over and back until the clearing count has been satisfied. The clearing count is satisfied when the player steps into the attack area or the ball touches in. In order for over and back to be called, the ball has to touch or cross the midline. Okay, over and back. But it can't be called until a player with possession or the ball itself touches inside the attack area. All right, leaderboard. Agent Yeti. All right, last question. Over and back may be called after a shot deflects off the goalie, pipes, then crosses the midline. Okay, so if a ball from a shot deflects off the goalie or the pipes and bounces all the way over the midline,
Like any play.
no over and back. But what's going to happen?
Reset when a new possession, right?
Whoever gets possession of that ball is going to get a new 30.
What if the defending team deflects it on its way? It's still a shot?
Doesn't matter.
Yes, it's still a shot.
Okay, still a shot. It's like
Yeah.
shot out of bounds.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they're the last to touch it. It's still
If
a
the
shot.
moment
It's still a shot.
So we're just saying no the entire time.
Correct. But being that it's still a shot, we don't want to be too quick with it. And here's the only scenario I could really think of. We have a shot on goal, ball hits the goalie or the pipes and it bounces over the midline, okay? Let's just say, for instance, that nobody's around it and the ball goes out of bounds. We have to wait and we have to see who's closest to the ball. You got to wait and see who's closest to the ball at the spot where it goes out of bounds. So don't be too quick on that whistle in that situation.
Yeah, look around and find you.
Yeah. Now, if it's a deflection off the goalie or the pipes and it's rolling to the midline, if it's rolling towards the midline and it crosses the midline, well, then you're not going to have over and back.
No, you're not.
Don't even worry about that. Forget about it. Forget what I'm trying to say.
Remember, it's
Stop.
a
I'm
shot.
done.
Treat it like
I'm
a
done.
shot wherever it goes
Yeah.
out.
Treat it like a shot. Okay.
And Yeti wins.
Third place. Stand up. Yeah. Second place, Lady Raven. And our champion,
I'll get you tomorrow.
Bill Gold. Thanks for playing, guys.